Are you tired of sending out your resume only to hear crickets in response? Like you find this great job, you're like, ooh, I could do this. This sounds fun. And then you send it and then nothing. Your resume is the first line of defense in the competitive job market, and it has to shine. But what if the very mistakes that you're probably making are keeping you from landing some interviews? Well, in this video, we're going to be diving into all of the biggest resume mistakes that we have seen pharmacists make over the last 9 years of our careers as career coaches. We're going to give you 7 mistakes that we commonly see pharmacists make, and then we're going to jump to quick solutions to help you make some significant progress in your resume. Ready to land a better job in pharmacy? All right, well, let's jump in. Before we delve into the specifics, let's talk first about why your resume is critical in today's market. In the digital age where online applications are the norm, your resume serves as the first and sometimes the only impression that you get to make. According to recent studies, hiring managers spend typically about 30 seconds reviewing a resume. So in half a minute, your career's future is decided, whether or not even worth interviewing. In that brief window, your resume has to be tailored to their specific needs as a pharmacist. You have to convince that reader that you're the solution that their company needs. In an increasing world of deadly competition, where the number of pharmacy schools far outpace the job growth, standing out has never been more important than ever. Your resume, it's not just like a list of your experiences and education. It's a marketing document. It's your brand. It's something that's going to be selling you, your skills, your knowledge, and your potential. A well-crafted resume can open doors for interviews. It can be the linchpin in helping you go to that next step. And so a poorly constructed one slams those doors shut, no matter how qualified or even overqualified you could be. So with that in mind, let's dive into what mistakes are happening in so many pharmacist resumes. I have a confession to make. I have reviewed hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pharmacist resumes, and not one of them has left me impressed. Not one resume has made me go, oh, this captures who you are. And every resume I've ever read does such a poor job at explaining why this pharmacist was great. And that is the basis I'm coming from with these mistakes. If you've had your resume reviewed by me, you know that I'm coming from a place of love and passion. And some of these mistakes I'm going to be sharing with you are going to get me a little bit riled up. If you keep seeing the same mistake over and over again, it's like you start thinking you're the crazy one. So let's talk through these steps one by one. Typos and grammatical errors. This is the cardinal sin of resume writing, especially for pharmacists. A single typo can be the thing that just puts you in the rejection pile. It could be the thing that ATS sees, oh, you spelled specialization wrong, so you are donezo. That happened to me. When I was a pharmacy resident, I actually applied to a few PGY2s. I decided not to go that route, but I did a pre-interview at ASHP, and I thought it went great. I was really interested in the program. I clicked really well with the director, and the director, I later found out, didn't invite me to the interview. I got the rejection letter, and I was like, oh, well. And he actually called me up and said, the reason why we didn't ask you to an interview was because you spelled my name wrong. His last name was Gross. And no, not disgusting. It literally was gross. And I think I put an E at the end of it because I thought that was the polite thing to do. We had to rule you out somehow, Alex. A misplaced decimal point, period, name could have serious consequences on your entire career's future. So proofread your resume. Have it proofread by Microsoft Word, by Grammarly, which I highly recommend. We'll put a link below to that. or heck, a friend that is meticulous with details. Employers or really smart managers may see your misspellings and think that you may not accurately do the job well, which apparently that was me. The second mistake is generic statements and lack of specifics. You have to avoid vague phrases like responsible for, worked with. These kinds of vague statements don't tell the employer really anything. It's almost as if you just copied your job description and then put it in the resume. It doesn't tell me how well you did the job. It doesn't tell me anything specific or even what you contributed to. Instead of saying your experience with patient counseling, provide examples of like patient outcomes or things that you've accomplished through those skills, like increasing patient satisfaction. The third mistake is a one-size-fits-all approach. Using the same resume for every single job application is a recipe for failure. And I know that's gonna put a lot of people at ease because it's like, holy crap, that's what I'm doing. But trust me, employers can spot a generic resume anywhere if it gets through the ATS or applicant tracking system. Each pharmacy setting, niche has its own flavor. Retail, hospital, long-term care, specialty, pharma. It has unique requirements, and your resume should reflect your understanding of that and your enthusiasm for that specific role that you're applying to. Using the same resume for every single job application is kind of like using the same pickup line at a bar. Maybe 1 time out of 100 it'll work, and that's great. But I don't think you want to go through 99 rejections. I wouldn't. I'm so glad I'm married. I have no riz, as the kids say. Make the employer, the manager, curious about who you are, what you've accomplished, and why it could be a fit with the role that they have. The next mistake is focusing on duties instead of accomplishments. Simply listing your job duties isn't enough. You need to tell the employer how well you did the job through outcomes, through metrics that are changing over time, what you've improved or decreased. If I have to read another resume that says verified prescriptions, which is why that I've hired the very talented Dennis Ketyama on our team. Dennis is responsible for verifying every resume that goes out from our coaching clients when they want to apply to a job. He has such insightful feedback to give people better resumes to get noticed and through applicant tracking systems. The reason why it got me so mad is because writing verified scripts on your resume is like saying you have a pulse, okay? Great job, okay? But how well did you do it? How much money did you generate for the pharmacy? How much profit did you generate? How many customers did you serve? How many returning customers did you create? How many new customers did you create? What are your patient satisfaction scores? What has changed over time? How have you made a difference? If you just say what you've done, it's not enough to even prove that you're good at verifying scripts, because you could be at the bottom of the barrel and be like, I verified 25 scripts a day. Or you could be at the top and verified, 300, 400 scripts a day, something crazy. Have you received any recognition for your work? Any awards, achievements, accomplishments? That needs to go on your resume. We'll talk a little bit more about how to do that. The next mistake is incorrect or outdated medication. Look, if it's been longer than 5 years, it may not even be worth including. You could say that you did a job there, but if nothing relevant's there, don't include it. It's wasted space. If it's more than 5 years since your rotations, it's time to remove it. Double check, make sure all the information there is correct so that you don't make an error here. Oh yeah, and real quick, use a professional email address. Don't use Skynet or internet online emails. Don't use copycat or like fun, counting by 1, 2, 3s at Gmail. Use a professional email, please. The next mistake is overcrowding or underselling. Don't try to cram everything into one page. If it means using tiny fonts and eliminating all white space, that's okay, but make sure to have a little bit of that white space. It's a fine balance. A cluttered resume is hard to read and maybe immediately discarded. On the flip side, don't cut out so many achievements just to fit it into an arbitrary page limit. 1 is best, but 2 is fine and sufficient. The key is to make your resume as easy to skim and ensure that the key information stands out. The next mistake is including irrelevant information. As tempting as it may be to include award-winning chili recipe, which I would love to try, it's probably not worth putting on your resume. Just last month, a pharmacist put on their resume animal CPR training. And while that's super cool, she wasn't aiming for a veterinarian-focused career or even like a compounding pharmacy. So just keep it off your resume. These strategies should make your resume stand out so that it not only passes that 30-second test, but also compels a hiring manager to actually want to meet you. The first step is to tailor your resume. Customize each resume for every job that you apply. This doesn't mean that you need to every time change everything on your resume, but it does mean that you need to emphasize keywords and skills, experiences according to the job description. Many companies use ATSs, applicant tracking systems, that scan the resumes really quickly for those relevant keywords. For example, if a job posting emphasizes oncology, make sure that you include any kind of oncology experience. Even if you're in retail or hospital, you've had cancer patients, and while you may not know much about it, you've still interacted with them, you've still taken care of those patients. If you subscribe to this channel, check out a future episode because I'm going to be releasing an AI that I've trained personally that has been now vetted by over, I think, 200-ish pharmacist clients of ours that have been saying rave things about what it can do for their resumes, cover letters, and networking and LinkedIn skills. So in the future, I'll be showcasing this AI and how you can access it. The next step here is to create a compelling summary, a professional statement. Start with an executive summary that serves as your elevator pitch. This is why you should hire me. It should be brief, maybe 3, 4, 5 lines at the most, and overviews key strengths and accomplishments that you would bring to whatever the role may be. It's your chance to immediately grab the reader's attention. Share your top 3 accomplishments of your career, whatever they may be. A big project, a clinic you've started, or even just graduating pharmacy school. Whatever it is that you're most proud of, share it and remember to relate it to whatever the job may be. The next thing to do is to showcase relevant experience. And I mean relevant here importantly. This doesn't mean listing all of the different things that you have done. If you're applying to a job that doesn't involve a lot of patient education, don't put it there. But if it does involve something like process improvement or operations work, include anything related to those kinds of hard skills, like inventory management or starting up a new clinic or project. In our program, we use a framework called the verb result method. The name literally explains what it is. You start every accomplishment with a verb: started, created, decreased, increased. You then lead to the result, the end thing that happened because of it. Increased patient satisfaction, increased number of patients, decreased medication errors, increased this score or metric. And then you share the method, how you accomplish that thing. Because the method is perhaps the least important. Yes, it should involve the skills that you've gained, but what's more important is the quality of your skills. Because of these skills, you did XYZ thing. This leads into my next step for you to do, which is to use action verbs. Start every bullet point with strong action verbs to showcase your initiative and your impact. Instead of saying something like, was responsible for inventory management, try something like, optimize inventory management processes, reduced waste by 15%, saving the pharmacy $100,000 annually. Instead of saying something like responsible for inventory management, try reduced waste by 15% and saving pharmacy $100,000 annually by optimizing inventory management processes. That's a whole lot more compelling. It's a sexy accomplishment. It's a good looker. The final step that I want you to take is to quantify your achievements. Whenever possible, use numbers and metrics to talk about what you achieve. This makes the achievements that much more concrete and impressive. So few pharmacists take this kind of thinking. It's really thinking like a manager, because a manager knows who on their team is really good at something and some others who are falling a bit behind. And to them, it's a term of quality and quantity. An example could be something like counseled on average 50 patients per day on proper medication use and potential side effects. This isn't a great accomplishment because it doesn't speak to patient satisfaction, client retention, or some other related ideas. But it's a much better start than just saying counseled patients. In order to get this information, my encouragement is for you to have an honest conversation with your manager. And you don't have to have this conversation to be like, I'm thinking about leaving. Can I have all this metric data? Just get curious and say, hey, I was looking at something and I was wondering how we're doing on this metric, whatever it is. Patient satisfaction, scores, whatever it may be. Knowing this information can be critical for your resume. And I know that every pharmacist is going to cringe when I say this, but if you can't figure it out, guess, estimate. Let's have an honest conversation about resumes and the job search process. A manager who's wanting to interview you will not, I repeat, not contact your current manager to find out if your resume is true. So while I'm definitely not encouraging lying on your resume, that's a dumb idea. Instead, you can say things like you improve the system, that the store is better than when you started there, and lean into that. It is okay to be vague, especially if you can't share specific numbers, but you need to at least share those results. You need to talk about it in a way that's compelling. The next recommendation is to keep it concise and readable, folks. Clean, Arial, Calibri, Garamond fonts. Okay, we'll put those on. Readable size, 10 to 12 points is good. Consistent formatting throughout. Use the same margins on your cover letter and your resume. And if you want cover letter guidance, be sure to subscribe again because we're going to be talking about that in the future. Utilize some white spaces, bullet points, make it easy to skim, aim for 1 to 2 pages, okay? If it's a CV, it can be endless, it doesn't really matter. Your resume is your personal branding document. It's the thing that you can clearly communicate your value as a pharmacist and make a hiring manager actually excited to want to meet you in a field as crucial and as detailed-oriented as pharmacy. Your resume needs to reflect not just your technical skills and knowledge, but also your commitment to patient care, your ability to not just have hard skills, but soft skills, like you're a good fit for their work environment, whatever that may be, and your dedication to ongoing learning, professional development. So please take the time to craft a resume that truly represents you to the best of your ability. If you follow these do's and don'ts, you'll be well on your way to landing some good interviews. And be sure to hit that subscribe button if you want to see us do more in this space. I'll be sharing soon my AI trained bot that is reviewing our clients' resumes and how you can get access to that. And cover letters, LinkedIn, more tips are coming. If you like this video, please hit the like button as it lets more people find helpful videos like these. And if you have feedback for us, please let us know in the comments what we could do differently in future resume videos. So until I see you in the next one, stay curious and take care.